Welcome to Nokia 5G Talks, the professional podcast exploring Nokia technologies. Hello, we are going to talk about boosted automation. We are going to talk about use cases, challenges what we have, of course a little bit touch about 6G, and we will share a little bit our personal stories about automation. So stay with us for the next 30 minutes. Welcome to 5G Talks. I'm Greg, Automation Solution Architect. And today I'm together with Tímea and Attila. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Tímea, and I'm a product owner and R&D manager.
I'm Attila. I'm an automation architect here at Nokia.
In automation, we talk about many things, but how it is created, how automation use cases are coming up, how they are developed, how we are rolling them out. Do you have stories about that, how we introduce an automation use case?
Stories I have to think about, but I think in general what's difficult, and probably in the other industries as well, that our customers believe that they know what they want, but sometimes they don't know what's not there. So we have to, innovate as well, and we have to provide our ideas how we can make their life and work better. And I think that's very important. Like how Ford said in the beginning that if he delivered what people wanted, he would deliver 100 horses. But of course, what they wanted is to have speed and to go faster than before. So I think it's similar here in the telco industry as well, because this is really complex and we have to fulfill the needs of the end users, third-party companies, and how the operator can manage their networks. And we have to think further and think ahead how to do that. And I think that's a challenge we need to solve.
Yeah, when we discuss with customers, they're coming and also with brainstorm their perspective, how they understand how the network works from their perspective. Of course, they have to count in multiple vendors, and sometimes they say, I have some solution which will be overarching my whole network, and I would like to develop by myself, and everybody has to integrate to it. And we have to talk about what use cases, and we have to go into the details, right? So that how to satisfy those use cases, what technologies we will use, what APIs, what messages will happen, and how it will happen, what are the dependencies in different vendors, because we have networks which usually mixed with multiple vendors. So one part is coming from Nokia, but obviously as it's standardized, it has to work together with everything else. And with the customer, we have to always brainstorm that what solution can they are. And you are right that sometimes we can bring a solution that I believe that's good for you. What do you think? And it comes as a good collaboration and a journey together to introduce a use case. So you talked about automation use case for customers. So
I was a bit of in a lucky situation and also an unfortunate situation, because I was working for 10 years as a researcher. And as a researcher, you are kind of working in a ebony tower, and you are thinking on ideas how you can come up with new things which will help the world and help the customers. But we had limited connection to actual customers, so we were getting information from the outside world. Sometimes we are collaborating with the product lines, and also we were involved into some customer meetings, but the customers are usually want to have collaboration or connection with the company on real things, so which are already existing, and they want to buy things and want to use already existing things. So the research is not so easy to have this collaboration or connection to the customer, because we are kind of just want to have information from them. So we want to have feedback or want to research on their needs and then try to come up with solution for those needs. Otherwise, we just coming up with solutions to maybe not existing problems or maybe something which is not so realistic. So yeah.
Many times you have to understand the context, right? Mm-hmm. That when the customer asking for a certain functionality, maybe it's not because there is a functionality need, but there is some kind of behind surroundings what they have to satisfy. So one of the automation use case was that for us is that we had to integrate to is that turns out that was a KPI metric in the customer side. So which was not what we're thinking about and we're providing a network, but from them as they operating that's a different perspective. And of course, it's really important the customer is satisfied. So even those use cases had to be middle point at how we can serve and provide such a service. In automation, what do you think, what is the biggest challenge?
How much time do you have? Just referring to this one, I think another challenge is data. Because, for example, machine learning algorithms requires a lot of data, and customers have that data, but several times it's private for them and for the end user, so they cannot share it with us. This is one challenge, for example, that how to get that, how to achieve that the customer can give that data to you. So that's just one challenge. But maybe another, that customers are also big organizations. They have different groups with different ideas, with different requirements. So, and you are sitting in the middle and you are talking to different teams, and you have to make sure that you fulfill the requirements of all of them. You have to prioritize. That's a very important aspect of telco, that you have to make sure that you bring the most urgent feature the sooner, and to those people that really need it. Maybe let you tell a couple of other challenges and then I can continue. There
are countless of challenges, I believe, but we were maybe in the previous section, we talked about automation is basically simplification, or you are trying to provide simplified processes for more complex things. The simplification is coming with, so you will lose control over really low-level configuration parameters or to fine-tune your system. So I think really nice challenge, and this is also something which the customer has to understand, that with the automation, you will lose this really fine-grained control over the system with the gain of actually operating the system easier. So we have to find also the balance. What is the good level of simplification in order to satisfy the customer, and also providing providing good automation for those, because these two requirements are really going against each other. So we have to find a balance for those.
And it's not that easy, because when we talk about automation, actually, you mentioned that we have two groups, if we can say. We have the one blueprint we call, which is basically what the Nokia offers by default, let's say as a basic backup and restore solution. We have a product for that to do it and properly. But there could be a case for certain reasons. Customers say, yes, I understand you have that solution, but due to certain reasons, I have to follow different, which comes to a customization area. So which means that even though we have a solution, sometimes we have to get off and touch in additional customizations. And many cases, we have to extend it out. And that gives an additional challenge in automation, not just to satisfy the blueprint area, which is more or less true for the major part of our customers, but there are some certain cases which is true for one or few customers, which we have to satisfy. And it's not part of the blueprint, and we have to resolve that as well.
And delivering such a customization is just one aspect, but maintaining it and supporting it long-term for different scenarios, I fully agree with you on that.
And also the automation platform, if you are providing something, then you have to provide flexibility to support these use cases, but then flexibility also means complexity, which you want to avoid, and it is not so easy where to cut this, so that, okay, it is still allowed this certain level of customization, but please don't expect more, because then it will basically ruin the automation, or it won't leverage the automation, because it's going to be a really custom-made just for this certain use case and nothing else. So then maybe if the use case is changing, then the whole automation won't make any sense later.
And also we have just one dimension, what it come into my mind is the time. So maybe if there are certain automations needed for a certain period of time, let's say 1 or 2, 3 years, which is then after that, we get to a point when we can solve out the certain automation or get an evolution for further, which change the network. So we have to think about that not just where we are as an automation, how we're serving that, but also how we are moving forward constantly and have the evolution of the automation. So not just have stages, but migration between them, how to move from one state to another one.
We are delivering into a multi-vendor environment. It's operated elsewhere, so the customer operates products from different vendors, and sometimes they already have some end-to-end solution how to automate their operation, like a workflow or a CI/CD pipeline they usually have. So you have to integrate to that one. You have to make sure that you are compatible with those APIs. Of course, there are the telco APIs where we need to comply with. There are the standard APIs we mentioned also in the previous podcast that we make sure that we comply with those as well. And we have also the platform. So we have to provide what Kubernetes provides us and have to fulfill. So it's really like sitting in the middle, and especially if you are doing automation, you have to make sure that you can talk to all the different layers and all these different APIs. So it's making it really complex, and it's even hard to talk to the customers because several times one automation solution is used by different teams. So again, you have to fulfill all of them at the same time.
And can you propose for the different teams that, other team is using on your side this solution? Is it satisfy your solution as well?
Exactly.
Even I think inside customer organizations, so they are also kind of sometimes siloed and have multiple teams working with completely different tool set and completely different processes. For example, you need to integrate with both of them. Even from one customer could be there contradicting requirements for the same automation. So Greg, you mentioned that how long time frame, how long we are using the automation. I think our role also to take a look and always keep an eye on the existing automation solutions and what are the new things which are coming, and then we can incorporate it into our system. Because the customer will also have their own automation system, and they also will evolve their processes.
And another challenge, still not finished. We also discussed in the previous session that we have the 5 nines to fulfill, or the operators have, and this requires a lot of testing. And it's different from IT, because in IT you deliver something and probably you test it for, I don't know how much time, maybe a couple of weeks, and then it's a small feature. But in our case, sometimes it's tested for years. When you have to deliver something which is complex and coming from different aspects, they have a common environment. Everybody delivers there, everybody changes, and it takes a lot of time. And that's also something you have to react to. The industry demands fast, but you have to make sure that it's reliable. So again, contradicting requirements.
Automation can have many challenges, but let's move for success. So what I would like to ask you, can you share some success story what you have? What is the biggest automation success at Nokia for you? Mm-hmm. Even more stories, if you can share.
When I joined Nokia, I was also part of the Nokia research at that time, and we had a project to make sure that it was 2010, and we had to make sure that the application, which was the MSC, which switches between the lines, had to run virtualized. At that time, everything was set up for hardware, and it took weeks, months to deliver something to the customer, the new product, and set up everything properly. And we had to show them that it can be faster if they run it in a virtual environment. And we had a demo. That was the really first one. That was my first demo and the first one to a big customer from Nokia. And I was really, really nervous. And sometimes during the testing and the preparation time, it was working well. Sometimes, of course, not fully, because this was just a proto, not a full solution. And of course, during the demo, something went wrong. We were sitting together, a couple of engineers in the table, and I tried to explain what is happening and why it's happening, and just to make sure that they trust the solution. And one guy in the background just typed very quickly and restarted all the modules so they get up properly. And at the end, it was success. Even though the customer saw that we had the demo effect, but they saw the benefits and they saw that we can do it. So I felt really good at the end. And that was also good for me to learn that we made it as a team. So it was not just me who were delivering the show, but all the other guys. And that's what I like here.
It's really nice.
For me, so I was working for a decade as a researcher here at Nokia, and I mentioned that sometimes it is hard to find the connection with your research project, which may be a bit forward-looking to the current state of the product line and the system, and it is really good when these two is meeting, and I have product collaborations or connections where my research or our research had made its way into the product, or so we were able to translate the research into and realize it in the product. And so recently, my last kind of projects were this GitOps-based automation and how we can kind of change the traditional configuration management model with using this intent and GitOps-based model. Actually, it made its way into our automation products. So that was a really good thing for me. So I think it is really good that when you have some impact on the existing product line and you can shape the operational model for even a customer or others, and not just working on your small research project, which you think it is good, but then it is just ending up in the shelf, and no one is actually taking care about that.
For me, actually, it's not just me, but overall the team. So I got the opportunity to open up several years ago my wings, and I became a line manager. And I believe the peak was like 55 engineers were there. That's a verification team. So basically what was responsible is the performance and the robustness test plus end-to-end testing as well. And when I took the team, it was quite challenging because most of the environments actually were not there. Even though we say, oh, there is an automation there, but it has to run. And we were in a quite bad shape because some of the systems are somehow not there and we didn't have time to fix it. And my manager then told me that take care of your people because they will take care of your business. So what was the strategy is that I asked them obviously that, okay, you are the expert on that one. How would you resolve it? And they started to list many challenges that, okay, we have to resolve this and that. And more or less that what the challenge was as well, that, okay, how to change the team to somehow resolve those problems and change the organization structure. So we created 4 different teams, different areas, and saying that, okay, focus only on this. And in half a year, many environments were totally reinstalled, automation was properly set up. And I recall that when I was standing there with the team and saying, guys, after half year of really work, all of the automation for all of the verification is running up and running, and we don't have challenges, we don't have to report that, okay, something is not running perfectly. So time to time we can have periods of time, but we can work it out together, and it was really a good opportunity to open wings, test it out, that, okay, that how we can move forward further. And then it was really, and after that even maintained, and we could capable to continue that. Even though we had challenges, now it became, and it's obviously we used automation, we understood properly how to set it up. So it's not just for customer side, it's really important, but also internally, that how we can make sure that all of the software what we are building is basically thoroughly tested in an automated fashion and have a good quality at the end of the day.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think it's important that we use our products as well, especially the automation products. So we try to achieve that. The tool we use for lifecycle management of our applications is used internally as well, because we can eat our own dog food and we can test internally, this term. So yeah.
So everything basically what happened on the customer side, obviously it happens inside and we have to find it. There are some cases when a customer deviates from the blueprint. That's where basically it's harder to catch those, but obviously we have to test it out early. We had discussed about that more or less about the next few years of automation, but how it will look like a little bit further, like in 5 years. What do you think? I believe also 6G would come into the picture then. So as it evolved, so how do you see how the 6G and the automation will evolve in the next 5 years?
Yeah, 6G I think gradually will come, and then it will provide new capabilities from the system, from the network, which for the end user it is basically just visible that, okay, it's going to provide faster and more reliable and lower latency for the connectivity. That is also something which is coming out from the automation, but it is basically provided by the network functions. For the operator, it is a bit better. So this is where the automation and the automation use cases are much more visible. And for the operators, we definitely need to provide better and better automation solutions, because the network, to provide this really good capabilities in the network, the network itself will become complex. So the automation is a key to provide the manageability, the observability of those solutions. So there will be multiple new network functions which we are providing the certain use cases. The network functions has to run closer to the user, has to run in multiple destinations, multiple places. So we have to provide automation for that. And of course, the 6G will also, the promise is to provide lower operational expenses for sure, because the automation should provide money saving and time saving. So this is something which can come in the next 5-10 years, where the operator can easily manage and observe the state of their network with automated solutions.
Yeah, I think with all the intent-based solutions that we are working on, and also with the AI, that it can help to achieve, is that at the end I envision that for the customers the operability will be something that they need to monitor only. So like everything would be self-organized, and it's not that they need to manually go there and change something if there is a demand, or they can react to certain failure cases, but the system itself will try to prevent that failure cases happen and adapt and react to those cases. And I envision that it will manage itself for all those use cases that currently they do manually.
So basically, the automation use case is what we separate out lifecycle management, operation, or
monitoring, root cause analysis, yes.
More or less these will blend a little bit to each other, and basically the system by itself will separate it. Okay, what I have to do now, so what I just change a parameter and learn that how the network can behave, and also measuring the KPIs, how the traffic goes through the whole network, and based on that automatically you just send a notification that okay, this is what I observed, that was the root cause, and this is how I acted, and then automatically, or maybe just ask an approval if you really would like to strict that and follow that. But yeah, there is a possibility that automatically the system can recognize patterns and even know how to resolve it. So more or less that's it, like we are now, if you look up the sky, or there is a dark cloud, I know it will going to rain. So in that case, I can prepare. And also the same thing. Of course, it's really important that where to look, what to see. But if we know that and we can collect those data, it's automatically capable to know that, okay, that what is the next step and how to hide it, or how to resolve it in an automated manner.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was a key what you mentioned. That so the separation between the different phases will kind of blur and blend together, because so in the traditional model there was this design planning and then the execution phase, so that you did this dimensioning and the network planning and things like that beforehand, and the actual deployment, and you rolled out the new service, the new function, and things like that. Now, because we are providing this automation solution, then this is not a strict thing that first you have to do the dimensioning, because the automation can provide this in the real runtime. So during runtime, for example, calculate where to place what is the dimension, scale out, scale in the certain functionalities into the certain areas. This is something which was traditionally done before the whole network deployment. Now it is during the runtime of the network can be achieved and can be done with the leveraging of the machine learning and the AI tools. The AI is everywhere, and we are heavily utilizing it during development time, during testing, and also inside the logic of how the automation is working can also be used. Of course, we have to provide this observability to provide trust on our system, so that it is with the AI. It's also something like what the customer or the user is usually facing with, that okay, the AI is currently good, at least these large language models are really good to talk with, and usually they are giving you really good information, but sometimes they are not so trustworthy, and maybe they are just coming up with the non-existing things and facts. So this should also happen with our AI-based automation tools, that if we are at any time we are using AI in our tools, we still have to provide this trustworthiness and observability as well.
I believe that more or less the same thing will happen what's happened. So if you think about, you mentioned the installation, I know what is the card, upload the software, and took months. But later we introduced automation for installation. Oh, here's the package, plug that in, more or less hit the magic button and then start to distribute and install all of the components in the whole rack. And I believe that's going to happen the same with AI. In the beginning, we are a little bit, there are some mistakes here and there. But after that, when more or less it becomes constantly solid and never have any hallucinations and so on, we will more or less, he will build up a trust and say, okay, more or less I don't have to see what is happening step by step in the system. Because in the beginning, when we use the first automation, we see, okay, the first pod is or a container is built up, a second one, third one. Okay, that does what it should be. But after that, it will happen also, I believe, with the AI. In the beginning, we will check it, make sure it's worked there. But after, let's say, 100 times goes with the same result, we will have a trust on that one, even though not fully understand what is happening inside the system. But of course, that's not the customer's problem. Customers just need to know that, okay, that it works, and our part is to make sure that it always works, 5 nines or even more.
Yeah, right.
Thank you very much for your thoughts and also for the discussion.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you very much for listening. Please follow us on social media and also check out other episodes as well. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you for listening Nokia 5G Talks. Check out other episodes exploring Nokia technologies.